And with that, we'll take questions.
Do you guys have a date set yet as to when the next steps are? I mean, obviously you guys just filed today, but I don't know if you've heard on a date yet.
No, we literally filed, less than an hour ago, I think.
That's
So,
what I would ask.
yeah, I'll let you know.
And then as well, whoever wants to take this, your guys' response to the city and even CPD saying, this all calls for safety, not having enough officers. Your response to that?
Well, there are always ways to protect the public safety while respecting First Amendment rights, and I think that our lawsuit will demonstrate that. What's really important is that when we have a big political event like this, people can be heard directly expressing their political views to their representatives and those who have influence over them.
Rebecca, where does it say in the First Amendment that you have a right to be in a particular area to express that free speech?
Well, courts have consistently held that you have a right to reach your intended audience. So if the city tells you that your parade route is unacceptable, you have a right to an alternate that still allows you to reach that audience. So it may not be a specific time and place, but it's one that has that characteristic.
How much of a factor is it that the Secret Service, which is going to be controlling the ground zero for both of the sites, hasn't decided what the boundaries even are at this point?
Well, that just adds to the confusion and potential chaos that could be unleashed by the city's lack of planning. We certainly hope that we will see the boundaries of the city's so-called security footprint soon, but it's problematic that we don't know now where people will be allowed to protest.
So has this already gone through the appeal through the administrative hearings office, and the city denied that as they did the other group? I just want to make sure we got that background.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Can I follow, and maybe this is not necessarily for you, maybe it's one of the plaintiffs in this, but our understanding is that the delegates, they're all going to be bussed in, not only Milwaukee but here. So it's not like they're even actually going to see the people outside demonstrating. They may not even take a path by wherever demonstrators would want to be. So can you speak to how that will impact the whole sight and sound argument?
Yeah, we know from previous national special security events that delegates will be staying at hotels along Michigan Avenue, State Street, and so forth, which is what our proposed route is. And just going back to the issue of, does the city have the resources to police this? In the administrative law hearing, the city was very vague about what its resources are, and anyone who was around here for NATO 2012 knows that a whole bevy of outside law enforcement agencies from all the states around, as far away as Florida, came in. It was a big training exercise for them. So the existing resources of the CPD were greatly augmented by that. The city was totally vague, though, in the administrative law hearing about what resources they had to bear.
Let me just add one quick thing, Craig, to your question. Remember that we went through this in '96, where the security footprint was far away from where delegates would be exiting or entering the United Center, and there was litigation that actually ended up moving it within sight and sound. So we've been down this road again, and one would hope that we would learn the lessons from '96 and not have to have this kind of litigation in order to accomplish this. And I just, if I could, Craig,
Sure.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Any Craig,
but no. I just want to go back to your sort of starting point. I think one of the things that's really precarious right now in this country is we seem to be having a dialogue that somehow any kind of demonstration or protest is equated with danger, is equated with somehow being unsafe. There are marches and rallies, there are demonstrations that take place every single day in this city that are not unsafe, that are not dangerous, And the idea that suddenly, because it's the convention and we have this national spotlight, that we have to act like everybody who wants to say something is a danger, I think really does a disservice both to the city, but frankly to our fundamental principles of the First Amendment. And that's one thing I hope that as we think about this over these next several months, that we can move away from. I am neither a plaintiff nor a lawyer, but I have at least said my piece, so in any event.
Thank you very much.
During NATO, I recall demonstrations on Michigan Avenue. So if you're proposing demonstrations along Michigan Avenue, what justification are you being given? And this is for either of you. I mean, what are they saying to say, no, you can't be on Michigan Avenue when there were thousands of demonstrators on Michigan Avenue?
Well, I'll let Rebecca answer as well, but this is what's so absurd about this, is that our so-called progressive mayor has proven to be even worse than the evil Rahm Emanuel, who I'm sure many of us here loathe. And he's going against his promises of an open city government in doing this, a government for the people, and it's extremely disappointing. And I say that as someone who voted for Mayor Johnson. So yes, NATO accommodated Michigan Avenue, but it was a battle to get there, as you may recall, Craig.
Sure. Rebecca, could you, I mean, what legal justification are you being given for the refusals and for the refusal to budge?
Yeah, so, as Andy had said before, the reasoning has been very vague. So the city has cited, not having enough resources during the convention to ameliorate any traffic disruptions, and they've talked about not having sufficient law enforcement officers, but the facts underpinning those claims are sorely lacking. And indeed, at the time of the administrative hearing, witnesses testified that they don't know how many law enforcement officers will be coming to Chicago. They don't know even exactly how many it will take to police a parade like our clients. One of the reasons that it's clear that the permit denial is so clearly unconstitutional.
Rebecca, Outside Bodies isn't the only group who was denied a permit to march. Could a ruling in your favor help those other groups too?
Well, most of the other groups are currently involved in their own lawsuit that they filed a while ago. Unclear whether our lawsuit will affect their case or vice versa yet.
But just to be clear, your lawsuit is over the denial of the marching permit that you wanted to do on Sunday night on Michigan Avenue, correct? It has nothing to do with demonstrations outside the DNC itself. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, it does insofar as, some of our plaintiffs and members of bodies outside are also going to participate in some of those protests near the convention center. And also we are arguing that the Chicago permit ordinance itself is unconstitutional, as well as the recently passed ordinance that bans a sort of vague list of objects within a yet-to-be-defined security footprint.
During the '96 convention, the city created these protest zones. So groups went, I believe it was in 30-minute increments in a designated gated stage area, and then there was another area right outside the United Center where just a few organizers were able to gather and hand out pamphlets. If the city tries to use that in this situation, is that acceptable?
Yeah, I don't think we can. All of these are very fact-specific questions, and it will depend on what the evidence is in court and what other accommodations are made for free speech. But clearly the most important thing is that there is some way for protesters to reach those Democratic delegates that they have really important messages for.
Anything else? So let me wrap up here just by noting that I think, you know, you've heard the passion of our clients and the reasons they feel so strongly about wanting to do this march. On behalf of the ACLU, as we did in '96, as we did around NATO, we will work as vigorously as we can to ensure that they have the right to do that. There are lots of members of the coalition here. If folks want to talk to folks sort of on the side here after we end, feel free. And with that, I will thank you for coming. Thank you all.
Thank you.